This is Ben with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and today I'm going to go through some of the causes of cholinergic urticaria. And to be honest, I don't know a lot about what causes it, and I haven't seen any consistent research about some of the causes. Some of the research almost seems contradictory. I've seen some, for example, that suggest that it could be an autoimmune disease, some that suggest that it's not. For some people, they seem to have an antibody or antigen against their own sweat, others don't. Some have hypothesized that this is due to different subsets of cholinergic urticaria. That certainly could be the case. But ultimately, we don't know one exact cause for it. And I'll just go through some of the ideas that have been out there. And this is both from research or scientific articles I read or just individuals' opinion on a forum. So first of all, again, autoimmunity is one big one that comes up. A lot of people think there could be like an autoimmunity towards your acetylcholine or towards like those sweat serums or antigens in your sweat. So that's one possibility. Another possibility, some people have suggested it could be a vitamin deficiency. There's certainly been a few people on the forum that seem to suggest that once they took a certain vitamin that it helped them a little bit. And that was mostly vitamin D, by the way. And some people suggest there could be a hormonal imbalance. There's been a couple of a little bit of talk about thyroid conditions on the forum, and some people had success with thyroid medication, some did not. Personally, that's something pretty serious when you start messing around with your thyroid and taking medication. That's something I would only do if I really had a severe problem with it personally. But could be an allergy or intolerance. A lot of people have suggested that, and there's certainly some evidence out there to suggest that. I know in my own case, when I started to eliminate a lot of foods that I feel like was giving me an immune response, that my body just calmed down significantly. Not only got rid of my hives, but I would sometimes break out little bumps on my hand and a few rashes here and there, and that just really totally eliminated that when I started to really take control of my diet and go through an exhaustive process of eliminating the most delicious foods that I love but I can't eat anymore. Some suggested that there's a genetic link or a genetic susceptibility, and there have been a couple of people on the forum that confirmed that they did have a mother or a sibling or something with a hives condition or an autoimmune condition. And also, those are some of the main ones. And again, I've even read an article back to the allergy issue that I remember a long time ago. I read an article where a woman had a copper IUD, that's an intrauterine device placed, and it was made out of copper, and it seemed to give her cholinergic urticaria, and when they removed it, it seemed to disappear. So personally, I think that there could be an autoimmunity involvement. It could be any of the above, really, but I think the two strongest possibilities are autoimmunity and some type of allergy or intolerance. Those are probably, to me, the two most common causes, but it could be other things, and it's certainly possible. I'm going to briefly go through the physiological process of what happens during a cholinergic urticaria reaction, just to kind of give you an idea of what may be happening in your body as you're having this type of hives. First of all, the hypothalamus is a portion of the brain that controls a small number of nuclei with a variety of functions, and one of those functions include regulating your body temperature. Now, the hypothalamus is directly responsible for monitoring that, so I kind of like to think of it as a thermostat. You have a thermostat for like your heat pump or air conditioner. Whenever it gets above a certain temperature, it kicks on. Well, our hypothalamus kind of does something similar. When your body reaches a certain point, it's going to send a signal down to your body to say, hey, release the sweat out of the sweat glands. And your body does try to maintain a state known as homeostasis. That's a consistent state, both in body temperature and so forth. So whenever the body gets out of whack, reaches a certain temperature, your hypothalamus will kick in and try to get it to cool down by using sweat. Now, when that happens, it sends an impulse down our neurons and it activates the sweat glands. And these travel through a network of neurons located throughout our body. When these signals reach the end of each neuron in the network, a neurotransmitter, which is acetylcholine, is released, and that causes the next neuron to transmit the signal. And for reasons currently unknown, the release of acetylcholine seems to cause mast cells surrounding the tissues in the skin to degranulate or break down. So when these mast cells are full of histamine, So whenever they break down, they release that histamine, and when histamine's released, that's what gives you the itching, the burning, the prickly sensation. So we don't know exactly why that happens, but for some reason acetylcholine traveling down like that seems to break down the mast cells in the skin. And again, histamine is just that chemical that sends the signal that, hey, something's wrong here, and it can cause itching, small hives, stinging, prickling sensation. It can lead to wheals and all sorts of little nasty symptoms there. So that's basically the recap. I'll just quickly recap that. The hypothalamus detects an increase of body temperature, kind of kicks on, sends down signals down the neuron chains to activate the sweat glands. The neurons release a neurotransmitter to do this called acetylcholine. And for whatever reason, that acetylcholine, when it reaches the skin cells, the mast cells around the skin right there, those mast cells break down, release histamine, and that tends to be what causes the flushing and stinging and itching and so forth. And again, I mentioned this before, what's interesting is if you can cool your body down to stop that reaction, it just usually, for me, usually stopped it right in its track. So I could be breaking out in hives very badly. I could jump in an ice cold shower and it would almost be immediate that it would just stop. So that's some of the ideas of the causes and the physiological process behind it. Again, I'm not an expert on it. We don't know a lot about it, but that's all I've got. Hope that helps, and I'll be putting out some more videos. And I'll also link to an article in the description. You can check out my website for more articles I've written in the past on cholinergic urticaria. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.